if they were educated enough or they knew enough about that area, they wouldn't have done that, because we wouldn't have moved there had we known that. Yeah.
Well, so are you now aware that that employees from GE actually brought home PCBs and spread them around? Where did you hear that information? Did you read about it in the newspaper?
I read about it in an article where they had brought home some of the PCBs and used them as fertilizer for their gardens. And so...
And termite control was a big one.
Yes, we read about it.
Yeah.
But
and that's the concern with those neighborhoods, is that it was GE employees who were... So it's, yes, there are canals going back there, and then so the water running off that property is taking PCBs with it.
Absolutely.
But also the fact that, good job, that people were bringing it home and putting it all around their homes and using it in their gardens and things.
But they didn't know.
They didn't know. They weren't aware of what the dangers of that.
I'm sure if they knew, they wouldn't have. But
so when you said that, okay, you brought that sample into your class and it went under the microscope and they were all excited, and then all of a sudden they're out there, the city apparently, representatives are out there digging in the... Did anyone ever follow up with people in the neighborhood and talk to them about what they had found?
They never said anything, but we knew, because I knew it had something to do with something in the environment, in the ground, in the water system. We immediately, from that point on, start purchasing.
We started buying bottled water, because we
never
were like,
drink from the water system.
They won't say anything, and I moved here. I relocated here years later from Columbus, Georgia. So I told her when I first moved here, the water here tastes funny,
real bad.
And so I'm like, I could never drink. I didn't like water as it was, but I said I don't like the water here because the water where I come from doesn't have a taste to it. This water has a taste, and so I was out. But then when we found that out, when we saw them digging, I'm like, that's it. I'm not. To this day, we drink bottled water. We don't.
Well, you weren't on a well. You were on city water, right?
City
water.
Yeah.
Right.
But
what? So we've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to. The only other thing, let's see, was the nursing thing. Do you think the fact that you work in the nursing field affects the way you think about these concerns?
Yes, most definitely, because when I did understand what the PCBs caused, the health issues, and then I started looking back at my health issues, and I can't, I read about how it affects the thyroid, and I eventually had to have my thyroid removed. We moved there in 84 to 94. Well, about the time about maybe 6 years into that, I developed a nodule on my thyroid. It was a nodule on my right part of my thyroid. So they gave me radioactive iodine to try to dissolve it, and my TSH levels was 0. I mean, I had no, it should be, I had none. And so of course, my doctor said, well, how do you feel? Have no thyroxine, and I feel I was real flat. I guess you would probably describe it as probably depressed, but I didn't feel depressed. I felt nothing. So they, in the 90s, it was the 90s, gave me the radioactive iodine. So once I took that, my levels sort of came back up to normal. Well, stayed there, we stayed in that area for a while. Eventually they dropped again. And it was 0 again, and then the nodule came back, and then the nodule came back on the other side. So after years of that, eventually my thyroid just had to be removed, and now I have to take Synthroid. Synthroid is a replacement for the thyroxine, so that's lifelong. It just, I had nodules, and they just kept coming and kept coming, and then back around 87, I had a tumor on my left breast. Thank God it was benign. I was terrified, 27, and I'm like, where did this come from? And so they removed that. And then early in my 30s, we were still living there in West Rome, on the Woodbine, where the PCBs were. I'm sure now they know that's what it was. And as far as the reproductive organs, and I had so many fibroids that my gynecologist told me, these are the largest fibroids I've ever seen. So eventually, uterine fibroids, and she said they're in the muscle, they're outside the muscle, they're just all over, So eventually, I had to have that removed. So, it affects those places, the endocrine system and the reproductive system. And I mean, I started with me. We moved there in '84. I was in 80. It started, 25, 26, 20. So I had thyroid problems and fibroids all up from my young adult life. And I finally had the surgery to remove my thyroid in 2012.
2012.
And 2013 for my reproductive system. And that was it. I mean, that was it. I had to. So I wonder, being a nurse, where did that all come from, and why did it happen so young? And I just happened to be in that area, and those are some of the problems that the PCBs cause. And I know that some of it could have been hereditary, but this could have speeded it, accelerated it, So, yeah, being a nurse, it made me look into it more.
So I didn't realize that. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with all that. There is a case that we tackle in the film.
Thank you.
Where, a woman who grew up in Garden Lakes and her father worked there brought home the PCBs, and her mother died from brain aneurysms at a young age. And her father died at a young age also, right after he was given an early out because they closed down, and he died right after that. And he had a non-disclosure agreement with GE.
Man, what about our neighbor
next door to us, Mr. Adams?
They lived there for years before we got there. And we met him for maybe a year, and he had cancer really bad. It was in their ditch that we found the
sample next to the house.
It was
between
our homes, but it was their ditch.
He died, and because his wife told us, Miss Adams, so he has cancer. We saw him maybe a couple of months when we first moved there, and then he used to cut the grass all the time. Then all of a sudden we didn't see him anymore, and so we found out he was sick. So I'm like, man. And then we found out later that he died of cancer. And I'm like, oh my God. That's because they were living right next to the ditch where we got the sample. So.
And they had been there years before. They had probably been there.
They've been there with our landlord. Yeah, they know him because our landlord knew him.
How old was he, do you think?
Maybe 60 or 70?
About 60 maybe, late 60s. Maybe.
He was an older
man when we met him.
Can you think of any other cases of health problems in that area?
Not other than him.
Okay.
That's because he was our next door neighbor. We didn't know a lot of people around there. Well, we just see them in passing, but not know their history or whatever.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other comments you wanted to make on this topic that you can think of?
Let's see. I don't have any. I'm just glad that, I wonder if, since they know that that neighborhood and other neighborhoods around GE is contaminated, why are they still there? Why are people still there? Why is the school still there? Why is West Central Elementary School still functioning? Did they ever clean it up? I don't think they ever cleaned it up. I think I may have read somewhere where they cleaned up their area, but what about all that leaked into the environment and through the streams and the lakes and the creeks and all that? So it seems to me like they're like, well, this is just the environmental problem that we have all over the world. But I when I pass by there, my home, and I see that school and I see those children, and I don't remember anybody doing anything to clean it up. And that's a concern, especially with the children there.
And that's why I'm doing the movie, honestly, is to get this out to the public.
Right.
The Family Feud. Tell me about the Family Feud.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, because that's fascinating. So
It
you guys,
was fun.
tell me about that. That's wild.
Family Feud, well, that was, my daughter always wanted to go on Family Feud ever since she was in high school. And at the time we went, she had, made it maybe her second year of college. And she started up again. I want to go on Family Feud. I want to go on Family Feud. And I'm like, nah, we're not going to do that. And he's like her, we're going. So they just started claiming it. And next thing I know, they had went online and put in for an audition. I thought, they'll never get it. So I'm like, they'll never get it.
I told her, not only will we get it, but if we get it, we're going to win if we get on the show. And they were like, they'll never call. So maybe a couple of months later, they said, hey, you guys been selected of all these hundreds of people that auditioned for the show. So they still were just down thinking, we'll never make it. So we went down.
Yeah, so it was me and Ron and our daughter Embis and our son Scott and my niece. You have to have 5.
Yep.
And we went down and we auditioned. And sure, the first time we went, we didn't make it. But the way you make it, you have to, they give you like games. You actually play a game against, you compete.
Right.
And if you don't win, then you don't get on the show. So we came back and went back a month later. And of course, when we came back, my son, he started, making us practice and rehearse. And they had the game on their cell phone.
Yeah.
My daughter had a Family Feud game, and our problem was that
Too late on the
we were too late on the buzzer. He said, I don't care if you know the answer or not, hit the buzzer.
Hit it anyway.
So I'm hitting the buzzer, and sure enough, we